Hello, my beautiful baddies. Welcome back to yet another episode of Your Inner Baddie Speaking. I'm so glad you're here. Honestly, today I really wanted to dive into something that kind of hit me when I was going through healing and honestly just going through life. And I feel like you'll probably resonate with this too. Because as I was going through healing and going through this journey of rediscovery, have you ever felt like I did, like heartbreak was hard to get over? Yes, absolutely. Not having somebody in your life anymore, especially unexpectedly, it hurts, right? Relationships that don't work out, they hurt. But like, what about friendship breakups, right? Why don't we talk about that? That shit, to me, hurts more. And maybe you felt that way too. Maybe you felt like losing a friend can hurt more than a relationship or more than another relationship dynamic that you have. I know for me, mourning a friendship loss was extremely difficult because you choose, right? You choose to have these people in your life. They are not related to you by blood. They are not related to you at all. Like, they're not a relationship, so you're not necessarily getting certain aspects out of that friendship, right? Like, relationships are different. Friendships are different, but friendships feel more like they are supposed to last a long time. Not only do you choose to have them in your life, but you like open up to them. You vent to them. You show them your life. And because you're not romantically involved, you don't think that it'll ever end. You know, we're taught with relationships, they might not work out. You know, there might be an end to them, or like that's not your person and you have to let them go. We're sort of taught when we enter romantic relationships that it might not work out. But with friendships, nobody teaches you that. Nobody goes into it thinking, okay, this person might not be your friend at some point, or you might not ever talk again, or you might not ever have somebody to share that inside joke with. They might not be around. And it hurts worse because it's not like a relationship where you can pin it on, oh, well, you know, we weren't compatible, or, you know, someone cheated, or, you know, something happened that we just couldn't recover from and stick with the relationship, right? With a friendship, it feels like almost like, what's that saying, like death by 1,000 cuts or something? Like, that's kind of what mourning a friendship feels like, because it doesn't ever feel like there will just be one clear-cut end. And when you're mourning that friendship, I know I felt that way about mourning friendships. Like, oh my God, it's overwhelming, the sense of absence that you have in your life. Because again, you're not told or even going into it with the potential that they won't be in your life anymore. When I enter a friendship, I think that shit's gonna be for life. I think about them at major events. I think about them when I wanna celebrate things in life. I think about them long term. I think about how we're gonna be when we're old and silly together. Like, I think that friends are gonna be there for the long haul. And that's not always the case. In fact, I've had a few friendship breakups, if you want to call them that, like friendships that have ended. And some have ended because I've decided to end them. Some have ended because somebody else has decided to end it. And some of them have ended without anyone saying anything at all, either side. And I think that's what's difficult, is it's more unpredictable. In a relationship, you can kind of spot, potentially, not all the time, you can kind of spot like if things don't feel right, if you don't feel happy, but you don't really get that with a friend. nobody's really checking in like, are we happy together? Like, it's not something that you do. It's not something that feels normal, I guess, to do in a friendship. There's no check-in moment. There's no like 1-year anniversary. How are we doing? There's no, I don't feel like we used to. And sometimes that does happen. Sometimes if a friend moves or relationships change or, dynamics change or people change, your friendship can change. And that can sometimes lend itself to the point where, you say to each other, hey, something feels off. And I think that's also why in friendships it seems harder, because you feel like you're supposed to be having fun all the time. Like, isn't that the point of friends? Okay, maybe not fun all the time. Maybe I should rephrase that. It's like somebody that you want to have fun moments with, but somebody that you also go to in the thick of it. You go to about your breakups. You go to about your work drama. You go to them about shit that's weighing on you. You rely on them in a sense for a very deep emotional connection. I know with all of the friendships I have had, I love feeling deep with people. Like, I've had some surface friendships, and yeah, they can, serve their purpose too, and they can be great. Do not get me wrong. However, I like being like friends where we can talk about the thick of life. We can talk about the shit that's troubling us. I can come to you and cry. You can come to me and cry. I can be your emergency contact if needed. Like, that's the level of friendship that, like, I aspire to have. And those are the types of friendships that I like to build. When I meet somebody, I want to open them up to my life. I want them to open me up to their life. I want to know them on a very deep level. And sometimes even in relationships, depending on how long the relationship is, you might not get as deep as you would in a friendship. Because if I haven't been with that person for, let's say, even a year, and I've been friends with this person for 15 years, obviously there's a level of history and depth that just, they're unmatched. And so friends carry a lot of weight. Friends are the ones that you're supposed to be there for throughout all of life's ups and downs, all of life's wins, and all of the big moments in your life. These are the people that you want to call when something happens. These are the people that you want to vent to. These are the people that you spend late nights with. These are the people who pick you up when you're heartbroken. These are the people who are there for so much more time. So it makes sense why it would hurt so deeply if you're no longer friends with them. And I still think about it. There are friends that I have decided to end the friendship. And I'll still think every now and again, well, we had fun times and I really did enjoy their company at certain parts. So, maybe I should reach out. Maybe I should reconnect. And then sometimes I remember exactly why I ended the friendship to begin with. And I keep it moving, But in a friendship, what ends it has to be so much more, if it's a good friendship, if you've really invested and both of you are really in it, there's got to be some really deep reason that you guys are not friends anymore. And usually when I say death by 1,000 cuts, it's something that you realize has either been there the whole time and you didn't know, or they've always acted this way and you kind of woke up, or they've always acted this way and you just didn't see it. I have had friends that I was like, oh my God, these are going to be my friends for absolute life. Love them. They're my ride or dies. We were so close with one another. And then it took another person being around me and kind of being like, oh, it's interesting how they treat you like that. Or just like pointing out things that I knew were part of our friendship dynamic, but I never really thought about it. I thought, oh, well, we love each other, so we're good friends, and we'll always be good friends. And history, I've talked about on this podcast, history for me, it is hard to let go of. If I have a history with you, I don't want to let go of it. I'm like, we've built so much. We should be able to get past this. But in this particular instance, I remember them just pointing out little behaviors. And it took, probably a few months of that, of just like starting to see things for what they were, of realizing, I think my friends are really selfish. And then came the next realization of, I think I'm the only one really putting in real effort here. And not to say that, again, when you come to a realization, it's not to say that these things were always happening. It's not to say that they were never selfish. It's not to say that they didn't do anything for you. It's not to say that they didn't ever put effort into you. Not what I'm saying. But sometimes you understand at a certain point that the times that they were doing the good stuff for you does not outweigh how often they were doing things that either didn't align with you or hurt you. And that was kind of my realization, is like, what would happen if I didn't put any effort in? What would happen? Like, would they reach out to me? Would they care? And I remember testing this on a few friends at that time. I just said, hey, let's see if they reach out to me. And I thought I would just go like a week. I thought for sure they'll respond. Or like I'll cave and respond. Or like send something. Nothing. Crickets. Absolutely nothing. And then I would find out that they'd be hanging out. I would never be invited. And it hurts when you choose for people to be in your life and you feel like you are very, very close to them. And they don't necessarily care if you're there or not. And not to say that they didn't, people can love you in their own ways, and they can, feel certain things about you and not always act on them, for sure. But I realized when 2 months went by, not one person reached out. Not one person tried to see how I was doing, invite me to come hang out, and I realized, oh, they're not just selfish. They're selfish to the point that if I do not cater to them or I do not put in the effort, that's it. And of course, that might not be the direction that everybody wants to go. I didn't necessarily address it head on because I didn't think I was right. I thought for sure I'm gonna be proven wrong. And then when that shit hit, oh my God, I remember being like, fuck. Well, now I don't want to reach out because now I'm coming to the conclusion that my gut feeling and what this person had been alluding to was right. And that I was not in as good of a friendship that I thought I was. And that they did not care about me the same way that I cared about them. And I'm not saying that it has to be 100% from both parties all the time. We know that's not how life works. There will be times where I need friends to come, 70 and I come 30. There will be times where I come 100 and or I'll come 90, they come 10. That's okay. That's how life is. Sometimes the weight of the world is heavier on one side than it is on the other. And that's why it's a dynamic, right? It's a friendship where both parties are invested. And that shit really hurts because I don't know about you guys, but like if I'm not romantic with them, I'm kind of like, so I chose them and I'm not getting like that side out of it and I chose wrong? What the fuck? And it sucks because you've poured so much of yourself into this person and you thought this day would never come. I have never once thought that I would end a friendship. Never once went into it thinking that. And honestly, there were times when I was thinking, damn, I don't think this friendship is so good for me. And I'd still try to convince myself that I should stay because, again, I have trouble walking away, all right? We know this about me, and you might resonate with that too. But it feels so fucking hard to let go of somebody that you don't expect to. And so mourning friendships and getting over losing a friend, I think, is one of the most difficult things out there. And I would extend this to family as well. Like, family dynamics, just because you're related, does not mean that you're going to get along, that you're going to enjoy each other's company, that you're going to be besties, right? It doesn't always mean that. Just because they're family doesn't mean you're going to like them. Doesn't mean that you're going to want them around. And then there's the other sides of this where mourning somebody that you no longer align with but you still like is very difficult. And oftentimes you're not necessarily mourning that they're never going to be your friend again, because you might decide to keep them in your life. But you're mourning the fact that you'll never have the dynamic that you were hoping for, or never going to have that dynamic again, because you might need to put boundaries in place because you don't align with each other anymore. There have definitely been friendships where I've recognized, I don't think that that's somebody that I can keep so close to me anymore, but I still love them and I still value them. They just really don't align with what I want to do, where I'm going. And I'm not saying leave people in the dust. That is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is let's just say, you are healing and you are recognizing things about yourself and you are turning a new chapter in your life. And let's say that with healing means that you're more confident, maybe you're more outgoing. I realized that I was an extrovert years of healing later. It took me a long time to admit that to myself. And honestly, just to admit it in general. So you can definitely change into how you want to be in the world as you're healing and as you're establishing yourself again. So you might become more extroverted. You might want to go out more. You might want to do certain things. You might want to start new hobbies. And maybe the person in your life doesn't align with that. Maybe they are still doing some self-destructive behavior, which you were too at the time. Maybe they want to go out and party and you want to work on your hobbies, or you want to work on different things, or maybe your life doesn't revolve around that anymore. Maybe you like doing that sometimes, but it's not all the time. Or maybe, your values start to align slightly differently and you don't necessarily value the same things anymore. And it's okay to change. And if you decide that that person is still worth having in your life, just at a different degree, maybe they just need to be somebody that you see every now and again, or you catch up with every now and again, that's okay. It's okay to put up boundaries with people and understand that you're either at different places in your life, or you're just in you're not aligned as much as you used to be. Or maybe you understand that I love you for those things in my life, but I just can't have you around all of the things in my life because we're not matching on all of those things, but we match on some things. So that's where our friendship grows. And if you're like me, where everybody that you invite in, you're here's my life story, let's be best friends forever, because that's how I've definitely operated. I won't lie. I've probably had to adjust that. No, I won't even say probably. I've had to adjust that, where I definitely have to maybe dive in a little slower than I did previously. Suss it out a little. All right. But, if you're like me, where you're hey, here's my life, let's enjoy it together, it's very hard even to put up boundaries and have a different friendship with them. Because again, I want to be that I can call you out of nowhere, or we can rely on each other and we can be there for each other in every capacity. But not every friend is meant for every capacity. And as you kind of realize that, it just kind of sucks. There is a level of mourning that you have to do, that you now understand that you're not going to have that person be as close for the rest of your life as you hoped for. And that's okay. And I think with this, it's okay to understand, and it's okay to talk about. I don't think we talk about it often enough, how losing friends hurts to your core. It's very difficult to get over. It's very difficult to separate your life from. It's very, very difficult. And for me, I've been through it. I've waffled. I've stood on my decisions and all of them. I've waffled at certain points and then had to stand on my decision. It hurts. Every time I had to follow through on it, it sucked. I didn't want to do it because, again, you go into it thinking that your friends are going to be for life. And you don't think that there's going to be a different ending to that story. And it hurts. It hurts so fucking much to lose a friend. And sit in that. Be okay with that. Understand that. Talk about it if you need to. Lean on another friend if you need to. Do what you need to, but understand that just because you might lose a friend and there will be an absence, that you are not alone. You might feel lonely because, especially, like when you're healing, it can feel isolating sometimes just to begin with. But then when you add having to let go of friendships, that can feel even more isolating, even more lonely, even more like maybe this doesn't feel right because why do I feel alone? But you are never alone. One, you have yourself. And now that we're loving ourselves more, we're kind of cool. We kind of like this relationship with one another, right? Like the more I love myself, the more I was like, okay, being alone is not necessarily the worst thing, right? It's not necessarily the worst thing because I've got me and I love me. And that's good. And that kind of like, that sits well. But there's still like that absence, there's that gap. And know that your other friends will still be there. And also, should you be in a season where you are really shedding, and maybe you have one or two friends, I've been there. It's really tough. It's really, really tough. I won't lie. It's very tough. It feels really, really lonely. And it feels almost like I should invite back those people that I know aren't right for me. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because what you have let go of, you will understand in time when the friends do come that fit your life, fit where you're going, fit the level of healing that you have been doing, that lift you up. Those people were meant to fill that gap. But if you didn't have that gap, you might not have let them in. And it sucks because there's a waiting period. You don't find them the next day. It might take a while, but you will. You will find those friends that are right for you. And so let it hurt. Understand that it does suck. Losing a friend, mourning a friend is awful. Because again, you want to waffle on it. You want them in your life. You wanted them in your life. You will continue to feel like you want them back in your life. But I urge you to sit in that discomfort, feel it, and understand that better is coming. Okay, guys. With that, say it with me. I'm a fucking baddie. All right. Love y'all till next time.